There we go.
Hello, my name is Alex S. Johnson, aka Kandy Fontaine Goddess, and my special guest today is another other than Evan J. Peterson, the author of Better Living Through Alchemy and other extremely queer works, and it's also an RPG game creator. And we're going to talk about Posthuman, his latest creation. And yes, Guardians versus Cyan, which sounds extremely cool. I can't, I don't play any of those games,
That's
but
okay.
that's cool, right? Um, and what did I want to say? So about myself, I was trying to think of like I hate hearing myself go blah 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 or authors include because it sounds like I'm bragging. But okay, so I just thought, what if I could only say one thing about myself and then one fan of mine? So I decided, okay, so I am an author of multi-genre, unclassifiable works, including The Doom Hippies and Dr. Flesh, and my fans include Mort Castle. Okay, so I got through that, right? I cleared that hurdle,
There you go.
and we can talk about, other things like my guest, Evan J. Peterson. Yes, fuck this. Yes. Jazz hands go. I remember how it went last time. Okay. Jazz hands go with almost any. Oh, shout out to Wendy and Wagner. We had Wendy on the
Yes.
show after you, and we had the lovely and extremely talented Trisha Warden with us, right? Trisha Warden, who's the author of books like Brain Lift and Attack God Inside, published by Henry Rollins in 1361 Press, and is performed with the likes of, I don't know, Blixa from Meister's and Neuboten and Henry Rollins and I don't know, um, Michael Jira, right? And among Hubert Selby Jr., no big deal, right? So yeah, so a shout out to Trisha, who's my heart. And of course, we have our very lovely and brilliant Ellen Mabey, who's also published with Rollins and whose fans include Jackson Brown and Grail Marcus, and is one of a core contributor to Nocturne Corn Books, home of literary and literal rock stars. Also, I told myself I was not going to do this, but I'm a special shout out to Iris Berry. Iris Berry. If you don't know the woman, ever seen a video for a little known band, Guns N' Roses, perhaps? And Axl Rose gets off the bus in Hollywood, and it's like, "Welcome to the jungle." And there's he's looking around to see the street life. Check it out, right? Because he's fresh off the bus
Mm.
from wherever, probably the Midwest or wherever the character is supposed to be, right? And he sees from the we don't see the head, we see a flash of blonde, and then we see this pair of heels and fishnets just going like that down the street. And there's only one woman in the world who walks like that, and that's Iris Berry. That's Iris Berry. So yeah, her fans include John Doe from X and Exene, and of course, um, she has performed with Ellen Mabey and like everybody, and her, so anyway, shout out to my dear Iris Berry. This is my heart, who's also very alphabet. And so anyway, we have the the one and only Evan J. Peterson with us today. Evan J. Peterson is an award-winning. I'm trying to see if I can keep my eyes straight. And oh, Bell, I'm neurodivergent as fuck anyway. So, is an
It's all good. You,
award-winning
you don't have to
queer.
keep your eyes straight. I'm
Okay.
pro-queer. I'm pro,
I knew you were. I
I'm
knew that was.
anti-ableism.
I knew you. I knew that was coming. Is an award-winning queer author, game writer, and cultural fabulist. I love that fabulist. You're a fabulist. You're fabulous. Whose work moves at the crossroads of horror, occult noir, biopunk, and queer futurity. His debut novel, Better Living Through Alchemy, an occult detective mystery set in a neon shadowed Seattle, was praised by Manhattan Book Review as a fast, fun read with an eccentric cast that fits perfectly into its offbeat plot. The novel was also an Endeavor Award finalist 2024 and earned high acclaim from legendary editor Anne VanderMeer, who wrote that Peterson, quote, can evoke the kind of chilling unease that reverberates like an echo in the middle of the night. I like that. Peterson's body of work spans multiple media and modes of storytelling. His interactive fiction titles for Choice of Games, Posthuman, Guardians versus Scion, and Dragstar, I like that too. Shout out to Peaches Christ. I love that I'm able to say that, like with any degree of like realism. Invite players into queer utopias, cosmic conspiracies, and glam splattered RPG adventures. Uh-oh. His poetry collection, Metaflesh, Poems in the Voice of the Monster, reimagines the monstrous as a site of identity, desire, and transformation. While his fiction for weird tales, um, we have a number of authors that are contributors to Weird Tales, including Nicole Six and Ramsey Campbell.
Mm.
Pseudopod, Nightmare Magazine, Queers Destroy Horror, shout out to Wendy and Wagner again, and Best Gay Stories. I love that. It's just Best Gay Stories. So that's
Yeah.
comprises a big, kind of like a pool,
Yeah.
right? Situates them firmly within the contemporary weird and queer speculative canon, which is growing every day, so to speak. A contributor to the forthcoming Nocturnicorn Books anthologies Le Fantastique, a literary tribute to Clive Barker, and Hellbent for Leather, a literary tribute to Judas Priest, both of which I have curated. I'm curating. Le Fantastique is over, except for the introduction by the very wonderful Caitlín R. Kiernan. Shout out to Caitlín R. Kiernan. Peterson continues to expand the mythic, erotic, and visionary territories of dark literature. His other works include The Road to Innsmouth, Arkham Horror, The Untimely Death of Northgate Mall, um, McGrathian Planetary Catalog, The Husband's Suit, and numerous multimedia projects. Yes?
Yes, all of that.
Okay.
Did
Um,
you pull that all together and write that bio? Because I didn't write that.
um, well, it was kind of a, I mean, I pulled it all together, yes. Why?
Great.
Is that okay?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
so
that's great. That's wonderful.
yeah.
I usually someone either asks me to send a bio or
Hmm.
they take it right off my website or
Yeah.
something. And I was like, this is extraordinarily flattering.
Well,
Um,
it's all true, right? Especially
it
I'm
is.
very impressed by the Anne VanderMeer, the praise from Anne VanderMeer. And actually there's a very interesting kind of set of interrelated kind of our ecosystems, um, because you know obviously Anne is married to Jeff VanderMeer
Mhm.
and the author of novels like Annihilation, and also is a huge fan I mean, her husband Jeff especially is a huge fan of one of our core authors, Caitlín R. Kiernan, and who's just lovely. And I'm a mythic beastie who, my collaborator Michael Kobe calls her Bubbles because I always say that Caitlin sort of lives at the bottom of some sort of, um, you know, the what they used to call it, the Marinas Trench, right? And it's sort of
Mm.
like the deepest, ocean, and
Oh,
every
I
once in a
think of her
while,
as like a
um,
moor hag.
a moorhag. That's appropriate
Yeah,
too.
but
Yeah.
in the most flattering way.
Of course, in the
Yeah,
most flattering way. Of course,
yeah.
we don't, it'd be just hag, or hag adjacent or haggis adjacent.
Or
So I
fag
married,
hag.
so I married an axe murderer. By the way, so okay, I'm gonna go off script here. This is my cousin, Bibby Hansen, with if you can see that, with A.D. Sedgwick, and,
Okay.
and pretty sure because she said, we're cousins, right? So she has a band just to piss off Henry Rollins. It's called Black Fag. Okay, so you can't make that up.
Why
That
would you want to piss off Henry Rollins? He's been such a great ally.
e e. I I can't say
Okay. All
anything,
right, cool.
but yeah, he's problematic, but he is Henry Rollins. I don't have anything to win or lose by saying anything about him, but I will just say there are aspects that are not particularly nice. And I didn't want to talk about him, but so
Okay, let's move. Let's talk about me instead.
well, yes. So we're gonna conjure um, some post-human. Now, I know nothing about this whole realm, so I'm a guy who grew up without any kind of like we didn't even have a TV when I was growing up. So and then video games by the time, my friends, I don't know how old you are, but
I'm 44.
you're 44, so like I'm gonna be like 60 in a few years. So I grew up in the 70s, and then we had remember the Atari?
Of course.
Of course,
My
yeah,
sister
that was
had
like
that.
right. So we had, my friends, kind of had things like that, and they knew I didn't really have any friends. Oh dear. And I spent a lot of time at home reading, Anais Nin and Henry Miller and Allen Ginsberg and thinking someday, someday, Um, but so I don't really know too much about RPGs. And I think I think Ramsey Campbell wrote one, but he claims that he doesn't know anything about them either. So
Pretty sure he contributed, um, like he wrote his mythos into, I think, Call of Cthulhu.
okay.
Um, yeah, it's like Welcome to Goat's Wood or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
So, have you ever, so we were with when we had Wendy on the show, we were like coming up with like this sort of like imaginary anthologies that we would want to do if we could, because
yeah.
I am the queen of everything here, so I can do whatever I fucking want. So for like a few seconds, you want to brainstorm like if you could contribute to anything. We came up with me and Trisha and Wendy came up with uh gray gray matters, which is a sort of like a neuroqueer cyberpunk neuro like kind of like neuro spicy anthology about
Mhm.
cognition or whatever.
Love it.
You love it. Yeah, so okay. Who would you want in the book? Who would be like your dream contributor list?
For that specific theme?
Yes.
Oh gosh. Well, William Gibson,
Yes.
uh, who I think is still alive.
Yes.
Um, Probably Lu Cixin,
Okay.
author of the Three Body Problem series.
Okay.
Who else would I put into a super neurospicy anthology? Probably Bogi Takash.
Okay. I don't know some of these names, so
That's
I'm
okay.
you're I'm learning things.
I'm, I have one foot in the punk world and
Hmm.
one foot in the less punk
Hmm.
uh, sci-fi fantasy horror world.
Yeah.
I mean, the Venn diagram of horror and punk, it has very little sickle on the
Oh
outsides
yeah,
of it,
for
you
totally.
know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like so
Mhm,
like for example, John Shirley, right? John Shirley is
mhm,
one of our like he hasn't been in like a whole lot of our anthologies, but he's contributed original work. He gave me like the Baudelaire of our time blurb, which I'm still kind of like, yeah, sure, sure you
mhm.
said that. And he was of course a mentor to Will Gibson, which in the Black Diadem magazine volume two, which I would love to have something from you in that we have permission to republish a series of interviews or conversations really between Clive Barker and William Gibson. So we have that going on.
That's
And so,
fantastic.
yeah, join us. Um,
Oh, I
yes,
would. So we're strictly talking living people for this,
yeah, living.
for cyberspacey gray
Yes,
matter.
cyber. Like I was thinking, like, well, what my friend Are You Serious calls neuroqueer, like sort of cyber neuro, because with Wendy we're kind of spinning off, queers
Mhm.
destroy horror, and I was thinking, what else could we destroy and devastate, right?
Everything.
Everything, baby.
Yeah. I think
Uh,
yeah, I would love to see Charlie Jane Anders
okay.
in there. Speaking of, Venn diagrams
Hmm.
that practically overlap. I mean, uh, neuroatypical and trans.
Oh yeah,
Like
right,
I don't know if I have any trans friends who aren't neuroatypical.
right,
But they're probably out there.
right.
So yeah, Charlie Jane and I don't know if I don't know if E.L. Bangs
Mm.
is neurospicy, but I sure as hell wouldn't doubt it.
Okay,
Um, yeah, so just thinking
okay.
about some of these people.
I'll write those down. I'll keep those in mind.
Yeah.
And
And Billy Martin, for fuck's
Billy
sake.
Billy Martin, of course. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm a little concerned about Billy, but we're doing the thing, the tribute.
Mhm.
I don't know if like we talked about that one. We did probably, yeah.
I mean, we've talked about so many of
So many. You're
these
right.
projects. Which
These
specific
projects. Okay, this is
project?
this is called Exquisite Corpus. Um,
Okay, yes, I think we talked a
yeah,
little about that last time,
yeah.
but I mean, Billy's always writing forewords and intros and stuff for you. Like you pull him into as much as you can, is my
Well,
impression.
I mean, yeah, and so I do, I am. Of course, I was thinking there was one story that he wrote, which is one of the collections from the 90s, which is like a name like title like Maximum Freeze or something like that, which I was thinking, which is very, I think it was published in a Matrix tribute, which I think would be lovely for that one too, as well. So I've been thinking a lot about like how would we move the discourse and shift the paradigm from cyberpunk, which is our lived reality now, that people like you know Gibson, Sterling, Shirley, uh, you know um, Ken Goffman, were all in and Burroughs, they were all, and Kathy Acker, and they were all friends, right? They were all,
Mhm.
and then you had like Billy Idol and Trent Reznor were also part of that group, and they were actually going to do a soundtrack. They were originally they were going to put out a soundtrack to Neuromancer, which is why if you listen to the Cyberpunk album by Billy Idol, it's got a ton of stuff that was originally going to be in the soundtrack for Neuromancer, which is one of those insane projects like Jodorowsky's Dune.
Mhm,
It,
mhm,
it
mhm.
it it sort of spiraled off and broke off into so many different directions.
Yeah.
And talking about your Venn diagrams and talking about some punks and talking about some queer punks, and specifically, Billy Idol was an early, yeah, well, so okay, so Iris, her best friend and kind of like common law wife is Pleasant Gaiman, and they lived with, people like, Joan Jett, Belinda Carlisle, Jane Weedland, and Iggy Pop would drop into Disgraceland, from time to time, right? It was just insane, right? And I was actually talking on the phone the other day with Iris, and it was, because there's this MTV documentary from the from 1985, and where she and Pleasant are sitting on this bed in the midst of like total chaos. And I said it was sort of like a slumber party, but like I said, it was sort of like, the Babysitters Club meets Hunter S. Thompson, because Plez is
Mhm.
saying, "What do you write about in your diary?" You know, it's like it's insane. I would recommend, if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, it's mostly those like performances by GBH and the Dickies and so forth. It's very early MTV, but just for Pleasant Gaiman and Iris Berry, because they're so beautiful and so incredible. And anyway, so yeah,
Posthuman.
post-human,
So
yes,
Posthuman is my newest game.
yes.
Um, it's been maybe 7 or 8 years since I put out Dragstar with this company. So Posthuman, a lot of people think they won't understand it because they think of it as a video game, and
Hmm.
it is, but it's not about pushing buttons, and it's not a point and click
Hmm.
where you're exploring an environment. It is an interactive novel.
Oh,
So
nice.
there is strategy involved. There are certain, everyone who plays gets the same list of stats,
Hmm.
and you choose which stats you want to prioritize, and then once you've gotten your proficiencies set, then you can apply that toward uh, solving obstacles and things like
Hmm.
that. But it reads like a second person novel, and then
Cool.
every few pages you would make a choice.
Now,
Like,
why second person? Because I can only think of a handful of novels that were able to bring this off. And one of them is The Fall by Albert Camus, and the other is Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. Why second person? It's a very rare choice.
it's rare. It's difficult to write
Right.
something novel length in second person, but I think it's just the trope that got embedded
Hmm.
in digital storytelling of
Hmm.
this kind. For all of Choice of Games products, it's always in second person,
Interesting.
and then the choices themselves are in first person,
The whole idea of an embedded trope, because okay, I got to show you this because
entrenched even.
you will love this. Okay, so Michael Kobe and I are have written a book which you will love, and I I adore this man, and he's a First Nations, uh, queer AF, author, and his his influences are my influences, and basically are collaborators and friends. So this book, this is cover art, by the way. It's called Drag Cola and Other Stories. And it came about because
Mm.
I was thinking, I was sitting down in McCandy Way, and I was thinking, Dracula, 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 because we have, David
Mm.
J. Haskins is one of our authors, the songwriter of Bela Lugosi's Dead, right? And I was thinking, Dracula, 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 Dracula. I am Dracula. And I was thinking, what would Dracula be? Well, a fizzy vampire, of course. And in this case, it is represented as Betty Davis. So this is kind of like a Dada montage thing that
I
he
was gonna
created,
say, I was like,
right?
that's a very Duchampy Betty Davis right
It is
there.
very Duchamp, yes. Um, and so I have these are actual quotes. Alex S. Johnson is Bizarro, Brian Keene, and Michael A. Kobe is Icky and Fabulous, Alex S.
Yay.
Johnson, right? So that is something we're writing the sequel to it, which is called, I believe at this point it is the satanic rites of drag cola. And I
Oh,
just wanted to
good.
share that with you
Thank
because
you.
you would, of all people, would and say
Yeah.
hello to Mini Me Lemmy.
Hi, Lemmy.
Hello. So anyway, back to the second person.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the reason I'm taking notes because the whole idea of a second person narration being embedded is very interesting. It doesn't just as an artifact,
Hmm.
and how that would like play into, so if another work of the imagination that I would consider if I were writing this, and I'm gonna share this with Michael today, was like if how the second person narrative uh POV would get embedded in anything, you know.
Well, it's a meme.
What's a meme? Yeah.
It's a meme. People see a thing and
Yeah.
then they copy it.
Right.
And the stuff that they copy that isn't mandatory ends up being the standard.
Okay, how
So
to explain isn't mandatory. What's
so it doesn't have to be in second person.
Oh,
That's just what everybody does.
so it's a more like a default. Like
Yes,
people
yes.
wind up
Mhm.
defaulting to which is
And
it's really it's like I said, it's very, very unusual for mainstream or even speculative fiction. I mean, I thought of like the two examples, right? Bret Easton Ellis. You're sitting there and you're drenched in you're covered in Coke flakes and you're wondering where your can of Tab went. Right.
mhm, mhm. Well, I think especially because before there were before there were the interactive fiction games of the 1980s,
Mhm.
like approach cave, turn right, and you would be typing in these prompts,
Yeah,
uh, to a like 4-bit computer display.
yeah,
Um, Before that, we had Dungeons and Dragons.
right.
And Dungeons and Dragons is narrated as like you approach
Oh,
an
I see.
old abandoned mansion,
Yes.
or you descend into the caves beneath the castle. And so that narration
Yes.
style is fundamentally second person because you're telling your players what how they got there,
Hmm.
and it's a real balance between telling them enough to guide them along without telling them what to think, what to feel, etc., letting them develop all that. So it's a little, it's tricky. It's difficult to write these, but I did my second one, and I'm
Nice.
proud of
Okay.
it. I'm very proud of it.
So tell me about the genesis of the first one, which was called
Dragstar.
Dragstar. I love the title. Love it. It's like butter.
Yes.
It's like
So
Land
Dragstar.
O'Lakes. It's like Land O'Lakes butter. I'm
Oh,
feeling a little verklempt. Sorry. Please go ahead.
I like to think of it as like a highly clarified ghee. Um, Yes.
Yes.
So Dragstar, I had really wanted to break into game writing, and my dear friend Leo Vladimirsky, who through Clarion West with me, he had this friend named Mary Duffy, and
Wow.
Mary is my editor now at Choice
Cool.
of Games.
Nice.
So, we were working together to develop a story and a game, and I knew they were looking for more horror, so I had
Hmm.
started with a horror theme,
Right.
and then like the drag RPG was just talking to me so
Hmm.
loudly, and I told her, I said, you know what? Werewolves are great. I can do werewolves, but this is what I really, really, really feel inspired to do.
Yeah.
And she gave it the green light. And
Nice.
yeah, and it broadened their audience, people who who maybe like yourself had never played interactive fiction
Right.
before, but love the shit out of drag. They
Right.
kind of jumped aboard and were like, okay, well, I loved Drag Star. Why don't I try out, you know, uh, and this Regency fairy court game or
Nice.
what have you.
I love it.
So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
super, super proud of
you got me
Dragstar. I still get fan
sold.
mail about it.
Yeah.
People begging for a sequel, which
Wow.
it could happen, but if a sequel happens, it's not going to go through Choice of Games because we've done Dragstar.
You've done Dragstar. Yeah.
We have. If we want
Yes.
Dragstar Part 2, I would write that, but it would be much more indie.
I'm getting little pings. You know how irritating pings are?
Yeah.
Like the pingy ping things?
Yeah, like they kind of chafe against your clothes.
Well, the pings, like the ping things where they're more like oh, there you are again. Okay. The on Facebook when you have when people message you, and I can't for the life of me figure out how to unping the pinging sound. It's always defaults to a ping.
Yeah.
Anyway, very, very irritating. But so let's talk about drag, which is something that I really admire drag as an art form, and I think it's incredible. And so I had a guest. This is my neuro spicy, orientation. We had a guest named Michelle Sanchez, who's kind of like the punk rock Selena, and she's out of Chicago, I believe. And she's incredible. You should check her out, Michelle Sanchez. She's great. And she said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this band called Amyl and the Sniffers?" And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to check that shit out, right?" I became obsessed with Amy Watson, and you should not be doing that. And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in love with this woman. She's like butter." And and then Michael Kobe said, "Oh yeah, Amy's on like RuPaul and whatever." And so I was like, I was thinking a lot about drag because I'm a huge Judith Butler kind of
Mm.
kind of person. Like I use a ton of Judith Butler in my MA thesis, and fundamentally, I think of drag as something that anybody could participate in. Gay, straight, bi, whatever. That the queer theory a la Butler really liberates us from worrying about, well, is that too gay? Is it not gay enough? Is that who are we?
Mhm.
We're not limited to anything, gender, junk, orientation, you know, it's I think that I love Butler because she was contributed to this kind of the conversation that allows us to just, well, I feel for this moment like I would like to be Betty Davis. And you can. And this is very liberating. I think even a lot of mainstream discourse, you see people very unconsciously sort of adopting a lot of drag stuff
Oh yeah.
because it's fabulous, right?
Yes.
It's like, what, I mean, first principles, Marcus Aurelius, what's drag?
Oh,
Yeah,
drag is
drag.
drag is emphatic performance of gender.
Hmm.
Usually, yeah, usually for entertainment value.
Hmm. But it could be a private performance. It could be
Oh, it
it,
certainly
it-
can.
or I mean, even with yourself, right? You could say, I feel very Joan Crawford today. I want to take
Mhm.
an axe
Yeah.
and do something with it, you know?
But to me that feels performative. Even if it's my own, even if I'm my audience.
What do you
I mean,
mean
and this
perform
is
by performatives? I mean, I
well
know what it
that
means, but what do you mean?
that that drag is not just cross-dressing. it's not just wearing clothing that is assigned to a gender you
Hmm.
aren't.
Right.
No, no, it is about putting on a show.
Hmm.
Now we have Dragula, which I am a huge fan of. I just saw them when they toured through town. And Dragula
But they're not
is,
fizzy. See, I did a
they're
little bit of
not.
research. They're not fizzy. I was
Well,
like,
some of them are fizzy.
well, who I know, but nobody else. Nobody. So Drag Cola is my original creation. Nobody else has a fizzy, cyborg, human cola infused carbonated vampire.
Good.
Right?
Yeah,
It's unique. It's like butter.
of course it is.
Anyway, please continue. Yeah, so drag. It's not just putting on, you know, a wig.
Fizzy butter. Hmm.
Yeah,
Correct. Drag always larger than life.
right.
It's it's bold, it's risky. It's not just, like for me, or perhaps this is your experience of gender as well,
Hmm.
like, oh, it feels like a dress or skirt day. That's not, you know,
Yeah,
that's not drag.
right.
Drag
Drag.
is a show.
Right.
And it's funny because that Judith Butler, that like Judith Butler light,
Hmm.
um, absolutely makes its way into things like Drag Race. RuPaul
Hmm.
talks about how we're all born naked and the rest is drag.
Nice.
When
Yeah.
she was on the Stephen Colbert show,
Yeah.
he said, "So I'm in drag right now, is what you're saying?" And RuPaul said, "Absolutely. You are
Absolutely.
in executive drag.
Drag.
You put on your nice suit
Right.
and you know you assume the role of the interviewer, and that's executive drag. And that's all like that Butlerian discussion
Right.
of gender is a performance.
Right. I think
And for the record,
that's brilliant.
I'm I'm uh I'm a bigger fan of Jack Halberstam
Okay.
than Judith Butler, but both the Judys count.
I don't know that person, but I have been in an anthology with Kate Bornstein, so I'm
Oh,
really
Kate's
proud of that,
wonderful.
right?
I adore Kate.
Yes.
So Jack Halberstam used to write as Judith Halberstam.
Oh, I see.
Um, yes. So Jack, uh, one of his recent books is The Queer Art of Failure,
Nice.
which is all about how important it is to fail, and how it's inherent in queer experience.
Hmm.
But Jack's real breakthrough book, as far as I'm concerned, is called Skin Shows,
Hmm.
which was Halberstam's gender theory take on horror.
Nice.
And it's got Dracula and Hellraiser and
Hmm.
everything you'd want out of
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
queer horror theory book.
Hmm. Come to mama.
Skin Shows.
Right? Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
In
yes.
fact, I loved it so much that I got Jack to blurb my very first poetry book. Excuse
Nice.
me, which is out of print. But
Oh, hmm.
yeah, I adore Jack Halberstam.
Nice. Nice work. Nice work. Let me think
I'm
momentarily.
always
So
reaching out to people I respect.
me too. This is
Hmm?
where I get
Yeah, yes.
I get the incredible guests like yourself. And
Hmm.
so I was thinking
Yeah, if you want to
immediately,
talk to Diamanda Galas, you have to ask her.
right, you have to say hi,
What's wrong with that?
reaching out, you know,
Hmm.
big fan.
Yeah,
She's she likes having fans. And like,
yeah, she
right,
does.
she loves having some fans. This is hilarious. So we were talking about, like, I brought up Pete Steele because I'd talked to Pete Steele many, many many years ago. Rest in peace. And
Hmm.
and she said immediately, "Oh, he's a great porn star." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, he's got a big Willy Wonka or something like that." I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." She's genuinely reminds me of like a Brooklyn longshoreman or something, like just she's got that voice, It's
Hmm.
like, wow, she's you meet Satan.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Did
so
you
yeah,
did you hear her narration of word Edgar Allan Poe record?
yes, I have that.
It was, yeah, closed on account of rabies.
Close on Account of Rape with Ralph Steadman on the cover, and it got Christopher
Hmm.
Walken doing
Yes.
the Raven, and yeah,
Yep. And
and
Iggy
like
Pop is
Iggy
one of the
Pop,
narrators.
yes,
And um, Ken Nordine
hmm
does does a narration of Conqueror Worm that
nice,
is just one of the best things I've ever heard.
sweet, yeah,
It's like black butter.
well, it's like black butter. Yeah, so when I saw that in like a used record store, I was like, oh my God, it's Ralph Steadman. And then I was like, oh, I gotta have it. It's a double album. It's got what the hell, man? It's got Diamante Gallus and Iggy Pop and Christopher. Oh yes, I need to cradle this in my heart
Hmm.
because it's like a Land O'Lakes butter stick, And
And it's an anthology.
it's an anthology too. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just to die. You were in Queers Destroy Horror, the
I
Nightmare
was.
magazine. So let's talk about that a little bit because we're gonna wander.
Yeah,
Some what was it?
great.
Some girls wander by mistake, right?
Um,
Sisters of Mercy. Um,
yes,
yes,
yes.
and
But I'm a
so
material girl.
and I'm a, right. Oh my God, we get started on Madge. I was actually originally going to do a Material Girl tribute, and it kind of morphed, and eventually it became Omaha Kali to the goddess. And I got Lasara Firefox Allen on
Okay.
board with it, writing about imagine like Lasara Firefox Allen writing about Madonna. It's like butter.
Yeah.
But so talk about let's talk about Queers Destroy Horror.
Let's
Now,
talk about it.
how did that issue come about? As Wendy Wagner, of course, shout out to Wendy, and friend of the show, and is the editor of Nightmare Magazine, and it had Poppy Bright, Caitlín Kiernan,
Mhm.
and you. So discuss.
Mhm. And Chuck Palahniuk, for
And
the
Chuck
record.
Palahniuk, yeah, no big whoop, right? Just coffee talk.
Yeah. So I desperately wanted to get
Hmm
into Queers Destroy Horror.
Yeah.
So I sent Wendy short stories, I sent her poetry, and nothing was the right fit.
hmm
And Wendy can just she can have whatever she wants,
Right.
especially for a project such as that one.
Right. Yeah.
And then
Definitely.
I ran into her at the Hugo Awards,
Nice.
and she said, "Oh, Evan, what do you think about contributing nonfiction to Queers Destroy Horror?"
Right.
And I said, "Yes, Wendy, whatever you want." Uh, she had a spot that she needed filled, and so we very quickly had a back and forth.
hmm
Everything good up there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just checking the time. So sometimes,
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, so if you have anything that you're scheduled for like within the next, can you go another half hour? I just want to
I can do one more half hour. I was
one
actually
more
gonna
half hour.
gonna
Okay.
mention that.
Okay,
Hmm.
thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
please
till till
proceed.
1:30.
Yes. Okay.
So we talked it over, and I said, "Well, how about I write about William Burroughs?" And she's like, "Great, green light." And so I wrote this essay on the body horror of William Burroughs and how the queerness and the horror and the humor all braid together, and you can't really extricate one element from another. And also the flagrant drug use and all of that. So yeah, she loved it, and she's published my nonfiction in Nightmare Magazine
Nice.
twice more since then.
Nice.
Uh, so yeah, it's my honor to contribute to
That's so
anything that she's
cool.
doing.
She's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's so
she is.
neurospicy. She's wonderful.
Well, and she
Wonderful.
solicited me like after
Nice.
me sending in my shit to the open call and
Right.
it being, passed on over and over.
Right.
She solicited nonfiction for me because she loves my nonfiction.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah,
That's so
yeah.
nice. That's so nice. I love people like that. I love people who like, I think that's what makes her very, very special. You know, she's an original, and we need more queer representation in as editors, as people who
Oh,
curate,
yeah.
because to me it's extremely important. It's vitally important because it's
Hmm.
sort of like imagining the culture without black people, or women. But
I
mainstream,
wouldn't want a culture without either of
you
those.
know what I mean? But it's sort of, I guess I, I'm I'm saying something extreme because the sort of the patriarchy wants us to believe that we can manage without either any of these categories, and we can just have like cisgender white men deciding shit without any, but inevitably all this queer inflected stuff, all the rhythm and blues, all the blues, all the West African stuff bubbles up through, and we get, no matter what, we get a kind of an eruption.
Yeah. I mean, like American jazz and blues, but also like the whole Harlem Renaissance.
Okay,
Without queer people, it would not be the same.
not
Like
be
the
the
Harlem
same.
Renaissance was so fucking gay.
Okay, it was right. Like okay, Langston Hughes, right? You got your James Baldwin. I got your James Baldwin right here, right next to Baudelaire. I got like literally on my
Well,
shelf,
yeah. And there you go.
right?
And Zora Neale Hurston
Zora Neale
and
Hurston, thank you.
um oh, who wrote Smoke, Lilies and Jade?
Oh, um, I don't know. Oh, I was about to say and Trisha actually has collaborated with Natsaka Shange, which is like
Hmm.
blows my mind, right? Um, much more contemporary, of
Bruce
course.
Nugent. Richard
Bruce,
Bruce Nugent wrote
okay, I need
wrote
to I need
Smoke,
to
Lilies and Jade.
write some of this down. So yeah, and Bruce New. So anyway, going back to like queers destroy horrors and talking about queer representation among editors. Now, I love Ellen Datlow. And she does a lot, she does a lot. She's always looking for people who are, sort of kind of newer, experimental, really small press people, and that's I got to give her a lot of credit. So I sent her like last year, I sent her 10 of our books. Please just pick something from. It doesn't matter if it's you or Anna Taborska. Shout out to Anna Taborska uh, um, or Caitlin or whatever. Actually, it wouldn't be Caitlin because those are reprints, but we have published original work by Anna Taborska, and this okay. So queers drag. So the entire culture is kind of like, remember that Rosemary Clooney ad where you're soaking in it. We're
Okay.
soaking in. It was for a dishwasher liquid detergent, and
Yeah.
you're soaking in it, right? Well, not everybody sees, they may they may sort of recognize some of these tropes. They don't realize how gay this shit is. I mean, literally, like, oh, that reminds me. So Billy Martin said something hilarious about like Moby Dick, which is it's like, it's one of the greatest queer horror novels ever written, right? And it really is. I mean, so when I was in grad school, I took a class and it we had the unexpurgated British version of Moby Dick, which was not the, and honey, talk about some queerness. Like, the whole, but even if you're looking at the sort of expurgated American version, the whole scene where there are a bunch of sailors, they got their hands in sperm
Working
and
the
they're
sperm.
working the sperm and they're rubbing it around and it's getting everywhere. And Herman Melville deliberately used the word sperm, you know, I mean, it's like spermaceti, which is like the blubber, of course, but he
Mhm.
called it sperm for a reason, just
Yeah.
like he called it Moby Dick for a reason. And,
Well,
like
and in in the squeeze the sperm when they're processing,
processing
this
it, you're soaking in it. Yeah.
they're processing this sperm whale's forehead, I guess.
Yeah.
So they're processing it, and if I recall correctly, there's a part about like as you're squeezing, sometimes you'll squeeze the hand of the man next to you, and
Yes.
that's a moment
It's a
of
moment.
camaraderie.
Camaraderie. Yeah. I remember when I was like in high school, right? And I was in
Hmm.
advanced placement, junior English, and our teacher with absolute sincerity, absolute belief, in his righteousness of approach. This is like years after there was the groundbreaking analysis of 19th century, or it was actually a Love and Death in the American Novel, right? Which
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
was the first
Classic.
classic, right? It's the first book to sort of trot out the now obvious fact that Melville was gay as fuck, and
Mhm.
that this is incredibly queer, um, book, as is Huckleberry Finn, so many others, but um, okay, so. Now, where was I? So Moby
I don't
Dick,
know.
you're soaking in. You got all this sperm. It's being expressed, and oh yeah. So this is how we were taught in high school. It's completely turned me off to it because I was reading it, going, well, the whole scene in that that hotel, the Whalers Hotel,
Mm.
where he's waiting, like. Ishmael is waiting in his cramped little bedroom, waiting for, he's heard rumors of this harpooner named Queequeg, who, and then he's speculating about the dark holes that he's come out of. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm only 15, but I'm reading this going, hmm. And then he gets you know, he walks in the door. It's this giant South Sea Islander from a completely made up tribe, which is just, you know, Melville having a laugh because he'd actually been a whaler and he'd been to the South Seas. So he decided to have a laugh and make up a mythical race of South Sea Islanders. And then the next thing you know, it's morning and and
He's not male.
Ishmael describes it as sort of like, the day after their wedding, and he's got his arm around him, and I'm thinking, and then we the next day in class, the our teacher seemed like a very reasonable man, assured us that there was nothing gay about this. The fact that he had to say that, nobody had brought that up. To me, it was like,
Mm.
wait a minute, why are you denying something as palpably obvious to everybody?
Yeah.
But
Well, I guess he's obligated to,
he's
or else he'll be
obligated
accused
to
of grooming.
grooming, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the only people who ever groomed me um, in my educational journey was my high school theology teacher at Jesuit High, Gunter Klingenbrunner. yeah, he taught us a few things, and you know, I mean, so yeah, like the Ten Commandments, and thou shalt not this and that, and I always think you got one job, you got the one job, and you can't do that, but we're supposed to be afraid of, whatever. We're supposed to be afraid of, trans women because they'll try to rape you in the men's room. Okay. But
Yeah.
nobody's
Yeah,
looking at your
or
junk,
drag
baby.
queens reading books in the
Right.
library to
Right.
children. Like
Yes.
parents don't have to take their children to that.
Hello.
Like parents do because they want to.
Right.
Like if you don't want your kid hearing a drag queen read The Very Hungry Caterpillar, don't take them.
Right. Hello. It's not and and I mean, the irony that they're actually sort of they're introducing, aberrant sexuality, kicking and screaming into a very innocent context is remarkable, right?
Yeah.
It's always these Christians, these evangelists, whatever, who are obsessed with queer sex. They're
Hmm.
like they're the ones who are like spreading the pornography. There was a very well-known kind of queer children's or young adult book that had some rather graphic depictions. And you know who was spreading these images saying this is a shocking pornographic book? It was the Christians.
Hmm.
They were saying, "Oh, please don't buy this book. It'll turn your child, you know, into a gay." And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, you're the ones. So this pornography. You say you claim it. We're not. You're shaming. You're saying that queer bodies are offensive to you. Queer desire is offensive to you, and it is literally pornography. Who's disseminating the images?
Right.
Not gay people. I'm sorry, little candy rant over. Um, so in the remaining time we have, what are some
Should we
of the,
talk about Rob Halford?
yeah, we could talk about Ralph Halford all we want. Screaming for vengeance.
When I was a teenager, before I knew he was gay,
Yeah.
or maybe I did know, I don't know. I got his album, his industrial album,
Oh yeah.
and I know John Five from Marilyn Manson
Right.
was his guitarist,
Yes.
and I think Trent Reznor produced this
Yes.
album.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I there were songs on it that I didn't understand because I had not stepped into gay male culture yet.
Hmm.
But songs like "I Am a Pig," uh,
Right.
I was like, that's a weird song. And then after I came out and started doing gay stuff, I was like, oh, he's that kind of pig.
Ooh. Yeah, my collaborator Michael Kobe refers to himself as a little piggy, and I was like, okay.
Get your life, girl.
Yeah, right,
Yeah. I once was in a meeting at the local LGBT community center.
Mhm.
I was about to edit an anthology for
Right.
them, and so we're in this meeting, and a guy walks in, and like he was dressed head to toe in Nasty Pig brand athletic gear, and had like a t-shirt that said "That'll do, piggy." And he walked in and he said, "Is this where you go to get tested?" And I'm like, "Oh no, that's this door down the hallway."
Right.
And I was just like, "Now that was a moment."
Yeah, right. Yeah, you gotta respect that. You gotta respect that.
Here's someone who has probably, takes dozens of loads a
Mhm.
night and has a great
Okay.
time doing so.
Okay, so
Good for
and
him.
the downside of this is right.
Yeah, I mean, some of my extra slutty friends. I'm slutty, but I'm mindful.
Yes.
Some of my
Yes.
extra slutty friends who, had a regular orgy circuit
Uh-huh.
that they would attend and
Yeah.
participate in. Um, they said, if you go to an orgy and you happen to get chlamydia,
Hmm.
like they said that, well, that's just the cost of entry,
So to speak. Yes.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
sometimes that'll happen. And then you go to the doctor
Right.
and make it go away.
Nice. Nice.
But I was like, okay.
That's so funny.
I don't know if I'm cut out for orgies. I like to focus on what I'm
Right.
doing too much.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom, she's like it was 87 now. She was eighth grade home econ um desk partners with Grace Slick, right? And Grace said once in a Rolling Stone interview, I'm not good at multitasking, so orgies weren't, just were not for me. But
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
but hey, you've read The Motion of Light and Water by Samuel R. Delany, right?
I think I've read parts of it.
Okay,
I'm much more familiar with Times Square Red, Times Square Blue,
okay.
and his graphic novel about Dennis, his partner, and how they got together,
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
but not so much Motion of Light and Water.
It's got some scenes. It's got one scene which is just a absolutely riveting and beautifully and poetically written as only Samuel can, description of a sort of like this very, very kind of ethical and this sort of an orgy scene out of Hieronymus Bosch, where whose hand, whose cock, whatever was being manipulated, whose mouth was involved. You just
Yeah.
the boundaries blur, and it's all good. But yeah, I highly, highly, highly recommend that one. It's beautifully written, beautifully written. Yeah.
Have you read his story? You probably have read this, Among Blobs.
Among the who? The what?
Among the Blobs.
Not as
The
such, no.
Blobs.
No, not as such.
Okay. It's Delaney, and it's two stories happening simultaneously.
Hmm.
There's like the real world, and then there's the sci-fi fantasy world.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, in the sci-fi world, this space explorer is encountering these different alien blobs that are trying to like
Hmm.
merge with him and things like that. Meanwhile, in the real world, um, this dude is riding the New York subway
Hmm.
and getting off to get off
Right.
at the different stations that
Oh,
have
wow.
known
Oh, cool.
cruising in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
So, like he's on his knees sucking someone off, and then it
Yeah.
drifts back into the sci-fi.
I love it.
And, like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
wonderful. It's a wonderful work of smut.
Oh, yes, I love smut. In fact, so I think I probably did this last time, but I can't help it. Girl can't help it. I'm going to show off my the anthology, in which I appear alongside Patrick Califia.
Mm.
And this is high prestige smut, and it is from Penguin Random House. It's called Master Slave. And you got your master, right? You flip it over, and you got some slutty stories. Um, this is the list of contributors,
Pat Khalifa, that's great.
right?
I,
So check that out.
let me. Uh, ah! Okay, I see Nancy Kilpatrick,
Nancy Kilpatrick,
Midori.
rest in
Yeah.
peace. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm in there with Patrick.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's awfully good. It's awfully good. It's actually done by a guy named Thomas Roche. and you probably know him, but not as N.T. Morley. He also did the Noir Erotica series, which I'm
Okay.
in, along with, Poppy and Shirley and Caitlin and Lydia Lunch and all those people. But
All
we're
those
gonna
Musketeers.
Musketeers, yes. And so more, okay, a little bit more about Halford because there's so much because he and Barker came out the same year, 1990, right? In The Advocate. And they I think, yeah, so let's talk about both of them. Let's put them in conversation. So you got Rob Halford, he's the voice of Judas Priest, and you have Clive Barker, the creator of Hellraiser, and they're both queer icons. They're strongly adjacent because they both inhabit a mythical universe of overwhelming desire, power, and grotesquerie and
Mhm.
wonders and yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the leather,
Hmm.
they're both into not just enjoying BDSM,
Hmm.
but the aesthetics.
Hmm.
There's a real art to it.
Yeah.
What Halford brings to his presence, and then the way that Clive Barker examines fetishism in his
Hmm.
work. Uh, yeah,
Um,
and
I,
I
I,
think
I
they're
would
they're the same age. They may have been born the same year as well.
I don't know how
Um,
much lead time you need for a project, especially with your schedule. But as we're waiting for Caitlin's, introduction, I could wait a year for her introduction, right? I would like to commission you, and I could pay you a little honorarium for this. Okay, a
I do
nonfiction
like money.
piece. Okay, we love money. Um, I would like to commission a nonfiction piece putting Halford and Barker into conversation. It seems that since we're doing tributes to both, that it would be a beautiful thing. I think you're the man for the job.
I
Should you accept it?
I got your email about this,
Yes.
and I did not respond yet because I'm doing all the different, the
Yeah.
circus of Evan is always on.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, knowing that Halford and Barker are both alive and kicking,
Yeah.
more than just writing an essay, I would want to interview them both in like a round table.
Okay. I okay, so uh you know how to get in touch with Barker's people, right? Phil and Sarah, right? Um,
Yes, although I've heard that Phil and Sarah are no longer his representatives, but
oh, they're not. That would explain a lot of things like complete dead air from their
yeah,
camp.
yeah,
So
I think you get to him through whoever his PA is at Seraphim Films.
oh,
It might
Seraphim
be
Films.
Mark Allen Miller, um, who does collaborative work with him.
Right, Mark Allen Miller. That
But
sounds
yeah,
very familiar from the Scarlet Gospels. Okay, I'll try to get, thank you
yes.
for that. Also, okay, but I do know how to get in touch with the
Mhm.
with Halford's people. So I can try to set something up with Halford at least. And I mean it would be wonderful if we could all do it, but me, Rob, and you anyway. So but yeah, so anyways, let's put that on
Let's
keep on
yeah,
the table for now.
let's
And
work the details out
let's work the
later.
details out. So we have about 5 minutes. So, how can people find your work? What's your latest thing that you're flogging? Um, you know, literally or
Well,
figuratively,
yes, Posthuman.
post-human.
Posthuman is my most recently deceased horse.
Right.
So I'm flogging that. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Better Living Through Alchemy still is, it still has momentum. People are
Right.
still asking me to participate in things related to that. But yeah, posthuman, I would like I would like to move some more copies of posthuman. It's doing just fine, but I want people to read it. I want people to play it, and I want
Yeah.
people to, have that experience. And I think the best way to get a glimpse at what I'm currently doing is through my website, which
Okay.
is just evanjpeterson.com.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm also on Instagram and Blue Sky
Yeah.
sometimes. I spend a lot more time consuming art and creating art than I do on social media these days.
Which is wise. Yeah, that's good. So in the 3 minutes that remain, advice that you would give as a more established queer creator to up and coming you know, lads and lassies who are like, how can I be the next Evan J. Peterson or the first me?
hmm Definitely be the first you,
Right.
because I wanted to be the next Clive Barker until someone told me, well, what be the first Evan J. Peterson? And I was
Right.
like,
Yeah.
gong. Uh, so don't stop writing.
Hmm.
Keep making your art, and you have to keep sending out. If you want to be published, if you make art just for yourself and a small cadre of fans, that's cool too. But yeah, you have to just keep doing it. And the more you write, the better you'll get at it. The more you send your work out, the better you'll get at that.
Right.
And I all the time, I have conversations with mentees and students who
Hmm.
who uh, who say like, "Ah, I just, I wish I could get published, but no one's accepting my work." I'm like, okay, so just keep doing it. And
And
then,
and
within a year,
and
they're like, oh, I got something. I sold something. Like, I told you.
and send them to me too. Okay.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
serious. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I'm always
Yeah,
looking
I have a
for new
great
writers.
mentee right now, and two more coming in from the college where I teach. So, yeah, I have.
Oh, yeah, also shout outs to Mia Dahlia and Clancy Nucht. And right. Um and yeah, I would also say um make friends with your heroes,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Just reach out and say, "Hey, Caitlin or Kiernan, fucking love you, man." You
yeah.
know,
That's what I
had
did
drowning
to
girl
with
saved my
Clive
life.
Barker.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah. A lot of us are quite happy to
Yeah.
respond. Um, yeah, some people really are too busy, but that doesn't mean they're too good for you.
Right.
What that means is that they're in those turning, churning gears
Right.
of I try to write back to everybody,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
would
not like I'm
say
getting. Mhm.
being like, friends with a lot of the most respected and revered, speculative fiction people of our
Mhm.
time, I would say like there was only one or two who have an attitude. But I'd say the vast majority are really, really nice people. And I was specifically some of the nicest people. I say Anna Taborska and Priya Sharma and you know, okay,
I love her work.
is like butter. She's like butter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I was
Nadia
really
Balkan is great too.
I think I was in an anthology with her at some point. I published the late great Josephus Pulver, and he
Mhm.
used to be, remember the Lovecraft easing? I think Mike Davis still does that where with the Jeff Thomas, shout out to Jeffrey Thomas. He's my heart, right? But Pulver would always be in like one of the squares. It was sort of like a speculative fiction or weird fiction Hollywood squares. You had the Pulver with the
Yeah.
mustache, right? So rest in peace, Joseph S. Pulver Sr., right? Is my man. But Nadia Bolkin is like, I discovered her work, and I've never been published alongside her, but I have been published by, Sam Cowan, who does Dim Shores, is literally
Okay.
my neighbor. So, you know, and I was in the Resist and Refuse
Okay.
magazine. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So this is so much fun. It's always really good to see you, Evan,
It's good to see
and
you.
take really, really good care. And so we will talk about some of this other stuff. We'll kind of, you know, I've found that if these things are meant to happen, they really do settle into place, and you know, so and I've also discovered that one can breathe too. You reach a certain plateau, and you don't let yourself go to seed and get all like, yeah, whatever, let the youngsters work it out. Also, I would say to some advice to some older people, who probably wouldn't accept it, but just like pay attention. I mean, I think like, pay attention to what some of the kids are doing, because they will replace you, particularly like, queer people, people of color, the culturally diverse, what's really changed in speculative fiction over even the last 3 or 4 years, right? You went from the sad puppies, angry puppies, whatever that horror, to people like Eugene Bacon being recognized, with the nebulas and everything like that. So a lot of good things are happening for, marginalized people. I'm really
Yes.
happy about that. So,
Yeah.
okay, my friend,
All right, Candy Pants.
squeezins.
Great, great talking to you.
Same here, always. Take
Yeah.
care.
And, send me all the emails.
I will.
All
Bye bye.
right.